This week, we tackled a big one, cleaning up the center deck by finally removing these old table pillars. First up, cutting the things off with a multi-tool and, well, having a little fun with it. Then it's all about grinding down the leftover Kusa pucks, checking our work, and prepping the surfaces for glass. We laid down fresh fiberglass, sealed everything clean, wrapped it all up, and with the most satisfying part, ripping off the peel ply. One step closer to a cleaner, stronger deck, and a blank canvas for whatever's next.
So if I cut it, I'm gonna deal with a bigger problem. Yeah, that's assessed. 100% assessed. Can't do it. Well, I just ran into an issue. We were gonna cut these mamma jammas off, but it looks like we're gonna have to learn to live with them. The reason being is that they are actually recessed into the bottom of the actual center deck. And so in order for me to open that up, it would just involve so much filling and glassing and sanding. And we can do that. We can. But it also seems like a lot of work. So the main reason why we are considering cutting these off is because right now, as it sits, this center deck is not leveled. Now, in order to build a tabletop that is leveled, I'd have to level out this entire center deck, build some type of build platform for this so we can bolt on the table, and then I want the table to be removable, to come off and on. So all those make this, keeping these platforms, these pillars, just not beneficial. And I think they also take up quite a bit of space in the center deck. And I'd rather have something that could be adjusted up and down. That way, the table that we put on here, we can actually convert it into a bed platform of some sort. Whereas what we have right now, we don't have that option. So.
Scary?
The pain in the butt. Every time you try to do one thing, 3 other things jump up in front of you. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It's actually not a big deal because then I think about it, it's all sealed, right? Everything is all sealed inside of there. It's contained. Once I chop it and I flush it to the surface, all I'm doing after that is filling it up. And I'm filling it so that whatever goes on, bolted on, has something to grip onto. So again, it's not the biggest deal in the world. We could do it. Not my favorite job, but gotta get it done. Record this shit, not the side of me.
How's it looking?
Look, you guys, I got a chef hat.
Shut up.
Check out my chef hat. So as you guys can see, like I had assumed, the inside of this is recessed. So what we're gonna end up doing is grinding this flat, and then we'll build that up with a ton of thickened epoxy. It's gonna take a lot of thickened epoxy, or even Kusa. I have Kusa. We'll cut Kusa into there, bond it inside to give it some heft. And then we'll have a surface that we can use to actually bolt down when we need to bolt down some stuff later on. So, should be fine. Look at what this stuff did to my blade. Whoa. So much for carbide. Harbor Freight, dude. I don't know, dog. Though they are a piece of history, it's always a good thing for a change. Change is always good. And I think that the decision that we're going to make of actually removing these so that we can put adjustable tops, it's going to suit the build a lot better. We'll be able to use these things as lounge areas. And I think that's going to be a lot nicer than having just full-on dedicated tables. But that's my opinion. And it's my boat. So I can do what I want. Dude, I gotta point this out. Check out the amount of glass that they put into these columns, dude. Look at that. That is like a 1/4 inch thick. That is crazy amount of glass. Have you ever seen David's videos where he mentioned that these tables are as strong as rocks of Gibraltar? Now I can understand why the hell he said that, because dang, dude. I don't think there was any reason to do that much glass, but hey, you do it once, do it right, I guess. So now we got fairly smooth. What we're gonna end up doing now for the inside of this is we're gonna clean this out, get all this rubbish out of here, and then we're gonna put a thin layer of thickened epoxy to kind of like level the floor. And then once the floor is leveled, we are gonna sandwich in a fat old piece of Kusa inside, like a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch thick piece of Kusa, to build up the surface so that we have a solid area that we can bond something to it, and then afterwards we'll glass right over it, smooth it out, and that should be done with that section. And then we can put our own tables when we're ready to do that. But another advantage of this is that now I can flip over this entire center deck, and I can work on the bottom without worrying about that piece breaking or crushing or anything like that. So it's twofold why we did it. And I think it was worth it, to be quite honest. And we gotta do the other side. Alright, so now we got them both flushed out. Ready to go. We'll do what we talked about. We'll take these pieces so we can build a little template so we can cut out the proper size Kusa. But with that, I'm pretty happy. Now we got a lot more space to work on the deck. Should be easier to finish, and just one step closer to getting this thing finalized, which, believe me, makes me so excited. Alright, so now we have the holes cleaned up, and we've got our pucks roughed out. So what we're thinking we're gonna do here is we're gonna have to build up this layer, because obviously there's a lot of like bog in there already. So we're gonna have to build up this layer with some more bog, and then once this is built up, we can slide one of these pucks in, and then go around that with some more bog, do another puck until we're flat, and then we'll smooth it down. I think that's the gist of this plan. I think it's going to be the kind of the most effective way to do this, honestly. But who knows?
What you doing?
Mixing up some a batch of thickened epoxy. We're measuring out 20 ounces of thickened epoxy. We're right at 20, and then now we're gonna add some of these milled fibers. This is, I know it's a lot, but that's gonna give it the bite that it needs in order to help with reinforcing everything in there. And after this, we might come back to some Cavasil. Cavasil is like a filler for resin.
So that's what we're gonna put in to make it flat, to put the puck in.
We're gonna put this to make it. The Cavasil is just gonna thicken it, so it doesn't like just like pull up like a big old puddle of water. So this will just make it a little bit more condensed. And yeah, we're gonna put this inside of it, level it out, and then we're gonna put the puck inside of that, so that the puck can help build up the new layer that we're gonna put inside of it. That way, otherwise we could, in theory, just keep on pouring this resin inside of there, but in my opinion, that would be a very big waste of resin. Not only that, I just don't, it wouldn't give enough, the Kusa will give it some compression strength and also something for a screw to bite into when we do screw down into it. So that's why we're doing all of this. So all we're doing is mixing before we catalyze. Make sure we get all the particulates inside of there very, very drenched up and mixed well. You can see now it's like almost a consistency of like hot honey versus it being just like more liquid. The Cavasil gives it viscosity, and the milled fibers give the matrix strength. So now we're going to measure out 5 cc's to this mix. And watch it. This is a really crazy thing. This is a very dangerous problem. This is MKE or MEK. And once you put these, see this gray color, watch what happens once we mix this stuff in here and start shaking it. You'll see that instantly it changes colors. That's always been something crazy that I always thought was really cool. It changed from gray to brown. It's almost like boogers now. The colors are boogers.
Done.
Cleaning up these little holes with acetone. And then I'm trying to get as much of the acetone out of there as I can and let it evaporate. But we're just cleaning it up so that we have a very clean surface for the new bonding material to really bond to. The acetone also chemically scratches out the PVC that's in here, so it's going to help us with a better bond. And since this is PVC and this is polyester based resin, they're going to chemically bond to each other pretty well, which will be awesome. So again, this time around what we're doing is just filling this up until we're over these cavities here. And once we're over those cavities, then we can put over these little humps that are here. Once we're over those cavities, we can put these pucks in place, and they'll be fine. But we're gonna start doing this. The goal here is to make one fine little surface. Perfect fit. Okay. All right. Let it sit in there pretty.
Ooh. Keep that one in. How's it looking?
Alright, from now we just gotta put some weight on it and let it dry, let it cure. And then once it's all cured in the next 24 hours, we'll knock it down. And then once it's knocked down, then we can begin to fiberglass over it. Seal it all up. But right now I'm happy with it. I'm happy. We just opened up so much space here. So the resin cured finally. So we can start knocking it down. And then we'll knock it down so that we can see how much we have to fill it up so we can get it leveled again. And then once it's leveled tonight, we could probably glass this over. Maybe like 2 sheets of glass, nothing too crazy, just so that we have it like strong. And then we'll be done with these sides. So we're gonna knock it back down now. Alright, now we're gonna go cut the glass so that we can lay it on there. We're gonna do 2 sheets of chop because it's not very structural and it should be fine.
Alright, in this part of the video, we're getting into one of those essential but behind the scene jobs, fiberglass reinforcement. We start off by heading down to grab the materials, mainly chop strand mat, and begin measuring and cutting it to size. The goal here is to patch over the old table pillar locations. So we start by templating the shape directly onto the fiberglass, making sure it fits snug over the spot we're fixing. Once the size checks out, we trim it into a circular patch, starting with a smaller disc for the base layer, followed by a slightly larger one to overlap and strengthen the repair. With both pieces prepped, it's time to move on to the deck. First step, wetting out the surface. That resin soak helps everything bond properly, especially since we're dealing with Kusa board and previous filler work. Then comes the first layer of chop mat. We lay down carefully, immediately saturate it with resin so it fully bonds. Once it's fully soaked, we go in with the bubble popper, just working out any air that might be trapped underneath. It's one of those slow and steady steps that really pays off in the final finish. Next, we drop the second larger layer of mat over top, again soaking it down completely, making sure there's full saturation, good edges, and no dry spots. And finally, we cap the whole thing with a layer of peel ply, which helps compress the glass, keeps the surface clean, and makes sanding way easier down the line. This is the kind of work that might not look like much from far away, but it's the foundation for a solid deck and what turns a patch job into a permanent fix.
As well, this next day, and now we get to remove the peel ply from the job that we did. So let's see how we did. Looks very good. Minimal bubbles. Happy with that one. Check out the second one. Oh, there we go. Again, minimal bubbles, nice and smooth. We'll have to grind down some places, but nothing too crazy.
Well, you guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, if you liked the video, please make sure to leave a comment below. Let us know what your favorite part of the video was and what was the dumbest part of the video. Either way, as always, you guys already know I love all my big dogs, so I'll see you guys soon.